I'm doing a live YouTube video stream, and I'm doing this from my car. I'm using a selfie stick. I've never done this before, and the reason... Oh, I just passed Tim Hortons. Damn, I wanted to get a coffee. The reason I wanted to do this was because John and I haven't done a photo buzz in a few weeks, because we've both been so damn busy. I guess that's a good thing. So, but I thought, hey, let's give this a go. And I'll record a few of my thoughts, my rants, ideas and strategies and what have you. So anyways, I'm in my car. It's loaded with Ferry supplies, lights, backdrops, props, cameras. I got my camera right there. I always keep my camera nearby and what have you. I have right here is a box with some images on it and a jump drive, a USB drive for a client. Now I'm going to London, Ontario right now. I was there 2 weeks ago shooting a wedding, and that's what that box is, that I'm delivering the product from that event. So I'm going to London for a Ferry day. We're booked out solid, and we had to stop ads 2 weeks ago because we were full, and we still got requests even days after the ad stopped, which is kind of cool, which tells me that this is a hot product, right? This is a hot product. And I have a lot of thoughts on the Ferry Day as a portrait product that you can offer to your clients. Much more exciting news coming out on that. I'm starting a new website over 15 years. We've gone to Sault Ste. Marie for a first time 7 years ago. That was the first time we took them on the road, never knowing really if it was going to work. You know, you have to try things to see if they're going to work. I always believed in that. You know, that whole concept of ready, shoot, aim. But I don't like being stupid about it. I don't like being irrational about it. Do whatever you can with whatever you have and see what sticks without throwing too much time, effort, or money into it. But you do have to put enough time and effort and some money into it to see if it's going to work. You got to see if your market's there, and it's all about that. It's all about seeing if your market's there. So it gets down to it being a marketing question, because when we went to Sault Ste. Marie, it's like 180 miles away, so we're 3.5 hour drive from our city. Nobody's heard of us before. Nobody's seen these Ferry portraits before. And when we started, specifically in Sault Ste. Marie, it was slow going at first. We didn't know we started getting bookings, but it was slow, and my wife gets very impatient, you know. She wants to see everything now. But it's like, no, these things take time to build. You gotta work it. So I ran my main marketing strategy, which is paid Facebook ads, which we use to geographically locate who it is we want to target geographically, and obviously in that case, Sault Ste. Marie. And we also demographically select, and that would be women. I select women between 26 and 65 years of age, and I don't choose any interests or any other affiliation. That's all I target for Facebook. It seems to work. There's probably more that I could do to tweak that. You know, as far as I could select, say, women within that range geographically, within that demographic, you know, say choosing the gender, age, and also I could, if I wanted to, possibly look at doing, okay, I only want women who fit that, but also who subscribe to, say, a dance magazine, or who like a certain dance school or a gymnastics school in their area. I don't do that, but I'm thinking about that on the back of my mind, because the reason I don't do it now is because it's working. I mean, really, I run an ad for 6-7 days, I throw $40 at it, it works, and $40 is a pretty cheap price to pay. So anyways, there's that. So we started in Sault Ste. Marie 7-8 years ago or so, and it was slow going, but it started to work. And we had enough sessions that I think our number was, we wanted 18, minimum 18 or so, and we achieved that. And then the next year we had more, and then the next year more, and it became a thing. And so it worked from the get-go. And last year I mean, during the pandemic, the ferries just boomed. They were really, really popular. So last year was our biggest year ever. Specifically in Sault Ste. Marie, we had our biggest event. I think we booked 42 sessions, and our sales were very consistent across the board. So Tina, my wife, she does all the bookings. I do all the marketing. She does all the bookings. She manages the money. And after each ferry promotion is done, she puts all of that data into a spreadsheet. She analyzes everything. We're always analyzing everything. We're looking at the numbers. You know, if you don't measure it, you can't improve it. If you just measure it, you're going to improve it. But if you measure it and you have data, you can use that data effectively down the road. So there's a lot of measurement points that I like to use. You know, how much are the sales on average? What packages are they buying the most? What are our major complaints? How many people are not buying? Are there issues that come up over and over that we need to address? The latest one is because we started offering more Zoom sales presentations. Is there a difference between Zoom and live? There seems to be, too soon to say, but there seems to be, and I want to not jump the gun and say, okay, well, we can't do Zoom. Because I really believe in the idea of Zoom. I love doing Zoom meetings because it's convenient and people are used to it. So I'm talking about using Zoom for the sales process. So now this year we did a ferry day in my city, Sudbury. It was a big hit. We sold out. Tina told me afterwards, she said, Rob, that was the first time we had almost zero resistance to sales. Our average sale was $500 per. And I think we had about 25 or 24. So do the math, 24, 25 times 500. And she said it was the easiest. Like nobody complained, nobody backed, there was no resistance. So I'm like, okay, that's interesting. That's good to know. We offered very few Zoom sessions at that time because they were all in our own city. Now, 3-4 weeks ago, we went to Ferry. We've never been to Ferry before. Tina wanted me to hit up Ferry and say, let's do a ferry promotion there. So I found a dance school. Actually, Tina found a dance school. We like to go to dance schools or gymnastics clubs, but so far it's been dance schools or other photography studios. And we offer them $1,000 to rent out one of their rooms for 2 days. And this one dance school we went to is very similar to the one that we went to in London, which I'll tell you about in a minute. That's where we're going now. In other words, they're big. We wanted a big dance school, successful. They are very active in competitions. They have a lot of awards. They're very active on social media. So those are some loose parameters that and they have good Google reviews. So I hit up this lady and she said yes instantly. And we went there 3-4 weeks ago and it was a huge hit. It was interesting to note though, Ferry's a nice sized city and it's about 45 minutes north of Toronto. And so it's bigger than our city and we figured, okay, there's enough people there to support this obviously. And we know, because we've been to Pembroke, we've been to London, we've been to Sault Ste. Marie, we felt pretty confident that the Ferry Day events were going to be a success in Ferry, even though they don't know us, and they were. So, but the thing I noticed that was interesting was that 80%, 70% of the people who showed up were not from Ferry. Interesting, because everybody come in, I'd ask them, so where are you from? And they'd say they were from like Angus or up north by Midland area. And or they were from Vaughan or from Newmarket. These are all 30 to 40 to 50 minute drives. So I'm like, okay, that's interesting. I don't know what to make of it, but it's interesting to note that all these people that book these sessions were from out of town. So whatever that means. So I'm thinking about that, but it's data that I think is important to know. There was one client, she had mom and dad showed up. They had 2 girls. I'm very friendly. I love people. I love photographing people and talking with people. I think that's one of the reasons I'm so good. Well, I'm really good with kids, and I think it's important that you gotta like kids. You gotta relate to them. If you find them annoying, if you're impatient, you're not gonna have a lot of success. you have to have a really positive personality and you have to lead them. So one of the things I do is I ask the mom and dad, we send them out a video beforehand reminding them of this, but I told them in person, I say, hey, did you guys watch the video? Even if they did or didn't, doesn't matter. I say, so you remember the number one rule, you guys get to sit over here and watch while I'm photographing your daughters. And, don't coach, don't repeat anything I say, and don't give them any instructions. It's kind of funny because some of the moms, and this happens all the time, one of the moms, as soon as I said that, looks over at the daughter and says, okay, now, Julia, I want you to remember this. I want you to listen to the man. And I look at the mom, I go, you're doing it. You're doing it. She goes, oh, you're right. And so we have a laugh. But anyways, there was one couple from Vaughan, which is pretty much Toronto. And in talking with them, they were just really excited to be there. They told us they've been tracking our studio for a couple of years. They always wanted to do this. They were hoping we were going to come in their area, and we did. It's about a 45-minute drive for them. And they own a store in Vaughan. So I was talking to them about the store, and they have they supply like balloons and all kinds of party novelties for parties of all sorts. With it seems like a leaning towards kids parties. So I was asking them about that. It was quite amazing. So I asked them how they got started. They started from their home. They started from the kitchen table. They started small, and after a few years, their business grew. Then they went to a bricks and mortar location. And I'm thinking to myself, this is amazing. There's two aspects to that I really like. One, that's how you start a business, in my opinion, from the kitchen table. You start small, you have an idea, you go after the market, you cast the net out there to see if your market's there, and if their market's there, you grow. The worst thing to do is to go out and start a bricks and mortar, get a brand, spend all kinds of money, and then nobody shows up. You got to know that the market's there, and that's what they did with their business. So, and I thought it was a good fit for what we do, so I asked them for their card. I had their card. Now, they were really, really excited. They really liked us. We clicked. Now, I'm thinking to myself, maybe down the road, if we want to go to Toronto, we can use their store, and we could set up shop in their store and do a Ferry Day event there. This is what I'm thinking. What do you think? You like that idea? So you always got to be thinking this way, and you always got to be looking for ideas and strategies and opportunities. Take notes. Grab business cards. Your network is your net worth. So anyways, yeah, that's sort of what happened lately. And we went to Ferry a few weeks ago. Sales were good. Everybody bought. Sales were not as strong with the Zoom calls. I'm not giving up on it though. My wife and I are going to keep trying that. So we're going to London now. Now London's a 6-hour drive, and I don't like driving that far. But the truth be told, if I wanted to, I could do nothing but Ferry sessions, and I could do these across Canada or the US or anywhere for that matter. I'd have to get a van and just load it up, and I could do one every weekend, go from town to town, and literally be booked solid. I know that for a fact. Okay, look at this guy. See, I can get a truck like that with a trailer, fill it with Ferry props. Well, that's a little bit big. Anyways, so that's the background. That's the reality behind that. Personally, I'm not interested in doing that, but I really think and feel and know that this is such an exciting market where I fit in the whole scheme of things. I think I just got disconnected there. It's cool. I keep thinking about, and I have a bit of an existential awareness on this journey I've called photography. 64 years old, just turned 64, and at some level I'm feeling like I'm just like it's like a bit of a roller coaster. My whole career, it was up, it went down a little bit, and up, then down. It's a zigzag journey. You know what I mean? And there were a few occasions in my life where I thought, I want to do something else. But that was just me being pissy. I think it would be a big, big mistake, especially at this point, to give up on it, because here's why. Like I said, I feel a new sense of mastery. Like, I know what the hell I'm doing. And that's a wonderful feeling. You can't learn that from a seminar. You can't learn that for reading a book or going to a course or taking a college or university diploma or degree or a night course. You got to experience that, and it's really all about crafting your art, honing your skills, especially with a heavy dose of marketing. Anybody who knows me knows that that's a big part of who I am. And on top of that, there's this thing called success mindset. You really have to have a success mindset, and I want to talk about that for a minute. So I think that's important above and beyond everything. You have to have a can-do attitude, and you have to be realistic about it. Like Tony Robbins used to say, you got to have the right mindset. You got to have literally the right posture. You have to stand up straight with your chin up and know you can do this. But you got to be realistic. You can't look to the west for the sun to rise. And that's a metaphor he used to use. You can't look to the west for the sun to rise. You can't look to the east for the sun to set. Those things are impossible, obviously. So be reasonable. And Napoleon Hill, in his writings, he's the guy that wrote Think and Grow Rich. He said that there's this concept called accurate thinking. And that's really what I'm talking about. Be realistic, but don't be a pessimist. And don't look for magical thinking. And magical thinking also means, I'm just going to go set up a storefront, throw a whole shitload of money at it. That's sometimes the worst thing you can do, because it deludes you into thinking you're doing the right thing. I'm starting a business. Look at me. I have a storefront. I have a nice logo sign. You got to learn the basics first. And like I mentioned, start from the kitchen table. So, what's cool about all this, I've always said this, that three of the greatest self-help programs out there are the 12-step program, Toastmasters, and starting your own business. When you start your own business, you have to walk to the edge of the abyss and stare over to the abyss, and then eventually say, well, I'm going to jump. And it's scary as hell. So you have to face your fears. And when you do that, you discover a new version of yourself, and that's pretty important. And if you fail to do that, that's why I think that when you plug into a job, when you have an institutional job and it pays you well, but you hate it, or even if you're just tolerating it, you're tolerating it for the right reason, which would be, I got a family to feed, whatever, or I'm just afraid to get out there, or pick any excuse you want, it doesn't matter. When you're actually doing something you'd rather not be doing, but you're doing it for the money, it's not good. Most artists, and I'm going to put myself in that category, most artists are into creating and expanding and growing, and they're on the journey. The money is secondary. The money is important. It's really important, but it's secondary. You don't want to not make money, because you're not going to succeed if you don't. You have to value money, and you have to treat it properly. But you can let it corrupt you as well. So I keep getting cut off here, and I think it's because I'm in the middle of no man's land. Kind of. I'm about 2 hours north of Toronto, but 4 lanes, and it should be. So I was talking about money. So yeah, money isn't the end-all, be-all. If you end up hoarding money or just hanging on to it, it'll corrupt you, corrupt your soul, your heart, your mind, and spirit, because it'll keep you from being an artist. The same way signing on for a weekly, monthly, yearly paycheck for 30 years, even though it pays you well, and is that a job that you'd rather not be doing, or is that a job that you hate? You are literally eroding your core essence, your core being. So I don't know what to say in response to that, if that's your case. If you're looking at me going, well, what do I do then? So, well, we could talk about that another day. I need to think about it. The majority of my life, I started when I was on my own, when I was 24 years old, so it's all I've ever known. I've been to hell and back. I've been like Maggie. I went to the moon with a shovel. And these are experiences that are common with those of us who have eventually persisted and succeeded. It's a journey well worth taking, but you just got to be realistic, and you can't be too neurotic about it. Yeah, so it's good, but apart from that, you get to grow, and that's what I like about it, because I like self-improvement. That's always been a big part of my life. I was telling another photographer the other day my journey. He's a photographer who's still in the game in my area, and he's part of the old guard, where in my area there used to be about 12 full-time studios. They're all gone. Still active, but he does grad sessions for. Forgot what I was going to say. Anyways, he'll come back to me. So, but anyways, on the whole journey thing, self-improvement, the opportunities present themselves, and you got to work on yourself. You got to take full and total responsibility. That's an aspect of success that I think is really, really important. You got to be honest. You got to be courageous. You got to do what you need to do to clean out the messes of all and anything that goes on in your life. You know, so I've taken some executive coaching in my days, and they were all goal setting based, all of them, and that includes Tony Robbins, which I was always pleasantly surprised to hear that goal setting was a big part of it, because I always thought that I'm missing something else. There's something else to being coached, but no, there's not. It's goals. Find out what you want, go after it. But the favorite activity that I did, and it's in the presentation I did a few years ago, and I have a PDF file, and I'll link it in the description there as soon as I get to it down below. I urge you to go watch it, but you have to have a 5-year vision, 1-year vision, and monthly goals. But you have to list out the 10 areas that are issues, whatever they may be. Just write out 10 issues in your life, and whatever it is, it could be addicted to food, cocaine, you could be addicted to sex, booze, alcohol, cigarettes. It's something that is creating major roadblocks in your life. It could be bad debt, gambling. It could be minor things. You're in a shitty relationship and it's killing you. Whatever the issues are, you have to list them all, big and small. Then you look at them and you go, okay, which are the top 5 issues I need to tackle now? Then, hey, tell me that that's not self-improvement. When you look at the things that are literally your enemies to success, what do I need to do to fix this? And for me, it was alcohol. I drank way too much, so I joined AA in January of 1991, and from that moment on, my life started to just blossom. When you look at these issues, and then you'll know what you need to do to push beyond them. And every adversity has seeds of equal or greater opportunity. So don't be afraid to look at the issues. Don't be afraid to struggle through them and say, I know within this will be a better path down the road. It's scary. It's scary because we don't want to be in pain. And as humans, we tend to avoid pain and seek pleasure. That's one of the reasons why society is going on such a major downward narcissistic spiral. We just persist for pleasure, and that includes being recognized, being like a celebrity, Instagram, or whatever. And just making people's hearts and glow and radiate. They love what I do, so my goal is to be a world-class photographer who creates stuff insofar as the morning pages are concerned. So 3 weeks ago, my daughter Danielle and John Butler and I did a photo buzz, and I had Danielle come on for 20 minutes, tell us about her experiences with this. Now the morning pages are called the morning pages because that's what Julia Cameron calls them in her book, The Artist Way. That book came out in 1992, I think, or 91. I bought a copy somewhere in the mid-90s because I was at a seminar once and a photographer mentioned it, and I thought that looks like a good book, and I bought it. But I never read it. Last year, my daughter got my copy of it, and she started reading it, and she started doing the morning pages. Now, the morning page, you wake up in the morning, you do 3 pages of stream of this longhand writing. You don't write specifically about anything. You write about anything and everything that comes to mind. This is really, really important. It's only for you to see and no one else. And then you'll often have to address the inner censor. And it's really amazing because, and it's something that it clicked for me back in June of this year. listening to an interview with Julia Cameron. I encourage you to go to YouTube, search Julia Cameron Morning Pages. Just go watch some of her interviews, or especially listen to some of the people who use it, like myself and my daughter, and the replay with John and I and Danielle. And you listen to the success stories. I think I can't imagine anything more powerful at this point in my life, as far as it really clearing a way for where it is I need to go and what I need to do. And I think it applies to each and every one of you guys listening or watching this. I highly, highly encourage you to take a serious look at this. I don't know about you, but for me, when I listened to Julia's interview back in June, well, first of all, I saw my daughter doing it, and I saw changes in her. This was important, you know. But that's sort of anecdotal. You know, it's what I saw. I didn't know much more beyond that until I listened to Julia Cameron, and then something clicked in my brain, and I said, "That's it. I get it. I'm sold. This is really, really valuable." So I started doing the morning pages in June. I have not missed a day since. So I believe it's really a powerful strategy, and it'll help you no matter where you're at. And you know, don't give in to laziness, don't give in to excuses. I highly encourage you to check it out, start doing it. So it's encouraging me to just realign, recalibrate my artistic journey. You know, like I said, I've always considered myself an artist. Even being in business, you're an artist because there's a lot of artistic elements, and yeah, it's amazing. So, and it's different for each and every one of us. So, yeah. So, anyways, I'm off to London. I'm going to be shooting some stock video. I have an exciting announcement coming up in a few weeks for a new product I have coming out for those who want to seriously push into the fairy portrait industry. What a stupid word, industry. The fairy market niche. The fairy portraits are nothing more than child portraits re-evolved, redefined. I've done 1 million child portraits in my day. There's one little issue. I'm sure it's not an issue for me because I think it's based on a lot of nonsense, but it is what it is. And that is that, especially in larger cities, some people sort of break my balls over the fact that I'm marketing to girls. Well, what about boys? Well, we put right in our ads, boys are welcome too, but it's primarily a girl thing. There's something that touches little girls who just want to be involved. Little children, little girls, and they have some money to spend, which, you know, there's a lot of both those. And it works. So the marketing, posing, the experience that I bring to them, everything, it all works together and creates a dynamic product. You know, the first session we did in Ferry 2 or 3 weeks ago, the grandma brought in the child, and I heard some sniffling in the back. I look over, they're just so moving. It's for them, and they spent money. So yeah, I got more to say, but I'm not going to say much more because I'm using up my data, and I've never done this before. So I think we're